Hey everyone, what is going on? And I have more battles for you today that I did on stream, so as usual, because these are pulled from stream, the quality is not as good. I do apologize for that. I'm hoping to get that fixed. But either way, I hit expert. I actually got expert and then continued on and got close to 2800, so I'm almost in the 2800 elo. I am slowly approaching legend, so when will we get it? We will find out. But so it's going to be Kabalion in the lead with Jellicent and Pidgeot. Absolutely love the team. I've used the team with the others in the lead before. Pidgeot in the lead, Jellicent in the lead. I think all of them work in the lead. So when it comes to this team in this exact order, the backline obviously is going to struggle against Electric. Now the good thing about Electric is you don't see it too often. You do see Ampharos, but you know, whenever I've battled it, a lot of times it's in the lead. Same with Galvantula. So it's not like super common, but it is a threat, right? So you do have to keep in mind for that. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive right into the battles and see what we got going on for us. Okay, out comes Obstagoon, so I'm going to go ahead and throw this Brave Bird right now into the Obstagoon. I do not expect to shield. My opponent does not shield, doing a lot of damage. And now I'm going to go ahead and bring in the Kabalion. Out comes Galarian Weezing. So Galarian Weezing is a Pokemon I've actually had quite a bit of trouble with, I'm not going to lie. But luckily I'm able to land that. I'm going to be able to bring in my Jellicent. The Brutal Swing is super effective, but I can survive 2 Brutal Swings. It's not the strongest move out there, so don't have to shield the first one. I'm just going to go ahead and throw the Surf right now. If they don't shield, it's going to get very, very low. I am anticipating the shield, and my opponent actually does not shield. I was not expecting that. So my opponent is going to go ahead and throw another Brutal Swing. I'm going to go ahead and let this one go. I guess I could have shielded that, but I just let it go. But my opponent gets to another one, so I would have had to shield one of them. So I do ultimately end up shielding this one. Because that would have been enough to KO, but the Obstagoon comes in and throws an attack. Well played by my opponent. My opponent played this one really, really well, so I just let it go. And I think I go for the Fawn Down. No, I'm going to go ahead and go for the Sacred Sword before my opponent can get off another attack. And my opponent will go ahead and shield that one up. And my opponent does get off an attack, but I let it go because I know a Cross Chop won't KO me, whereas the Overheat will KO me if my opponent happens to have Overheat. And now at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and go for the Farm Down. I do shield it. I am expecting the Brutal Swing. I do survive it, but I'm going to go ahead and shield it anyway. And I do get the Farm Down. So good game. My opponent actually almost pulled that one out. So well played to them. But I'm going to be able to take that one. You'll love to see it. I'm going to go ahead and move into the next battle in just a moment. There we go. Okay, so we have the next battle, battling an expert. Very cool. Kabalion into Giratina. Terrible, terrible matchup. Well, I guess it's not terrible, especially if they have Dragon Claw Ancient Power. Obviously, you don't know which moveset they have. My opponent is staying in and throwing an attack, and I'm about to find out. They do have Shadow Sneak, so it's Shadow Sneak, Dragon Claw, which is worse for me, obviously, but I can still stay in here, at least for now. I'm going to go ahead and throw the Stone Edge, and I try to catch... Yeah, I try to catch the Shadow Sneak. I'm not able to, but my opponent throws an attack anyway. Now, I know this is not going to be Shadow Sneak. I know it's going to be Dragon Claw. Still able to take it. So out comes Kabalion, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the Feather Dance into the Kabalion. This will allow me to survive a Stone Edge. And there's the Feather Dance. And my opponent is going to be able to throw an attack. I'm just going to let this go, I think. Yeah, I do let it go. I do survive the Stone Edge. But my opponent throws his Sacred Sword. Certainly survived that. And I'm going to be able to throw this Brave Bird into the Kabalion. Now, I wasn't sure if my opponent would shield this one. They decided not to, which is totally fine by me. If I shield, I can possibly win Switch, but I do let it go, and that one's going to be the Stone Edge. Should I have shielded that? Maybe. I would have won Switch there, but I thought it was going to be a Sacred Sword, to be honest. But Sacred Sword may have taken me out. I don't know. I mean... I was double debuffed, or they were double debuffed, but at the same time so was I, so I'm not really sure. Anyway, Giratina is coming in, the Shadow Sneak is coming out. I'm going to go ahead and throw a Shadow Ball. I was thinking about baiting, I decided not to. I'm going to go ahead and go straight for the Shadow Ball. My opponent does shield it, and I'm going to go ahead and switch out, and my opponent brings in Tapu Fini. And I'm like, well, hold up. Maybe we actually have some play, because the thing is, Kabalion is not terrible against Tapu Fini, right? I know that the fighting attacks are resisted, but the Stone Edge is adding up. So this is actually not terrible, especially since I have 2 already. So we do get that Fini low. And I'm trying to get to a Sacred Sword. Unfortunately, my opponent does throw. Good counting by them. This is going to be enough to KO me. I'm just going to let it go. And I'm going to bring in my Jellicent, and I'm going to be able to farm all the way down. I still have a shield advantage, not now because I am using it. And it's going to be a Surf. And I'm like, come on, let me farm down with Hex. able to farm down with the Jellicent, loaded energy, throw in the Shadow Ball, not worth it to bait in case my opponent decides to call it. Just going to go ahead and go for the Shadow Ball, and we see my opponent's shield. I'm going to go ahead and shield this one, and I'm going to be able, it's a Dragon Claw, which is fine. I'm going to be able to get to a Shadow Ball, and this is going to be enough to KO. So definitely a tough lead, but I'm still able to take it. Good game to my opponent. So you're going to be able to take that one. Well played. Well played. So let's go ahead and move into the next battle. Here we go. Going to be Cobalion into Dragonite. Okay. So, kind of an okay matchup. It's not the greatest matchup. But it's okay. My opponent throws an attack. I do shield it. I think every single time, it's never been a superpower. It's always been a Dragon Claw. But nonetheless, obviously, you don't want to be hit with a superpower, right? So I'm going to go ahead and throw the Sacred Sword. I do get the bait there. And now I'm going to go ahead and throw the Stone Edge right now. I was expecting the second shield, but my opponent actually lets it go. Let's go. So out comes Swampert. I do switch out. I was a little bit too late on the switch. Too slow. But should switch out right away. But that's okay. My opponent is going to go ahead and throw an attack. It's going to be that Earthquake as expected. So out comes Cobalion. Okay. So Cobalion, of course, I resist these moves besides the Stone Edge, as we know. That's why my opponent threw the Earthquake and then switched out. Makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and throw the Shadow Ball. And I'm going to go ahead and throw the Surf attack right now. And this Surf is going to connect. Very nice. My opponent's going to go ahead and throw an attack. Obviously, I survived the Sacred Sword. I'm going to let it go. It's going to be Stone Edge as expected. I actually survived the Stone Edge. And, oh man, look at that. I still get to the Surf, but my opponent throws the Sacred Sword just to make sure I don't get it off. Good play. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Cobalion. Go for that farm down. Unfortunately, my opponent does get to an attack, but I'm going to go ahead and let this go. No, actually, never mind. I shield it. Okay, I shield it. And now the Swampert is coming in. I'm going to go ahead and throw the Sacred Sword. I believe I have two, right? Or close to it. Close to it. Okay, so I do get off another one. Hoping my opponent shields it, because then all I'll need to do is get to a Brave Bird. My opponent does shield it, and now we're switching to Pidgeot. I know because this is a non-shadow, I survived 2 Hydro Cannons, whereas the shadow one probably would KO me with the 2 Hydros. But yeah, looking good, and my opponent will concede, and I'm going to be able to take that one. Good game, well played to my opponent, but that is going to be a GG's. Let's go ahead and move into the next battle. I have Cobalion into Galarian Stunfisk. I remember this game. Okay, so looking pretty good, right? But my opponent switches into Pelipper. So I wasn't sure what to do. Should I went into Jellicent right away? Maybe. But in this case, right now, I am baiting. And guess what? My opponent actually calls the bait. Oh, that felt painful. So now my opponent is throwing an attack. I'm going to go ahead and call the Weather Ball. And it's going to be a Hurricane. So painful. Well played to my opponent. So I do get off the Stone Edge, though. Expecting the shield from this attack. But I'm going to go ahead and throw it. My opponent does shield. Not really great. I'm going to go ahead and bring in the Pidgeot right now. I think I called the Weather Ball here as well, but it's going to be a Hurricane. So not looking too good for me. Maybe I should have switched out right away. I definitely should have, I guess. Or, well, if I threw the Stone Edge and then switched out, I guess that would have been fine. I mean, it would have KO'd. Obviously, they didn't shield it. But, yeah, not great for me. Out comes Gliscor, so it's, yeah, Gliscor, a double flying team. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Cobalion. And my Cobalion's already low. I think I just let it go. Do I let it go? I do. It's Night Slash. It does KO me. Out comes Jellicent. This is not going to happen here, unfortunately. So I'm going to be able to take an L here. So, I don't know. I obviously could have played it better, differently. I don't think the bait was a mistake. They just happened to call it, right? So I think the bait was fine. But maybe I should have switched out right away. So definitely unfortunate for me. But it happens. You learn from it. I'm going to go ahead and go for the Surfs just to try and pull something out. You know, I'm going to go ahead and go for another Surf. This Surf is going to connect. And I do get off another Surf. This will be enough to KO if my opponent decides to let it go. And my opponent does decide to let it go. So out comes Gliscor. And do I shield this one? I think I let this go just in case they get a boost. But still, I can't get to 2 Surfs anyway. As you can see, I have 1 Surf, but my opponent actually does get the boost, but they could just fall me down anyway. Good game, well played. Not going to be able to win that one, but that's okay. Good game. Pelipper is a really good Pokemon, I think, for the Ultra League. Alright, moving on, we have Shadow Ampharos, so it's definitely good to see it in the lead. Obviously, the back line is weak to Electric, so you don't like it in the back. So just gonna go ahead and throw this attack right now into the Shadow Ampharos. Shadow Ampharos is gonna go ahead and take it. My opponent will throw an attack. This is too soon for Focus Blast, so I let it go. But it's actually a Thunder. I'll admit I was not expecting Thunder. I was thinking, well, Dragon Pulse. I knew it wouldn't be a Dragon Pulse because I'm resisting it. I was thinking it would be Thunder Punch. So I'm going to go ahead and switch into my Jellicent right now. My opponent brings in the Abomasnow. And I think I'm looking pretty good now because I'm going to have that Pidgeot on that Virizion, right? So I'm going to go ahead and throw the Shadow Ball. My opponent going to go ahead and shield that. Totally fine. I can survive an Energy Ball. I do let it go, and now comes the Energy Ball. Totally fine. Trying so hard to get to a Shadow Ball, and it looks like it's a CMP tie, but I'm going to go ahead and let this go. I want to save the shields for that Pidgeot. But it's just a Weather Ball, so I actually survived that and still get off my Shadow Ball. You love to see it. So Shadow Ball is coming out, and my opponent will let that go. Very nice. And I actually still get to the Surf. Let's go. I didn't think I would make it to a Shadow Ball, so I just go for the Surf. My opponent lets go. So I'm just going to bring Cobalion, absorb the energy, it will faint me, but Pidgeot can clean this one up, right? So my opponent will throw an attack, this will KO me, it's an energy ball, totally fine, because Pidgeot is going to be able to win this one. Because they have a Virizion, even if my opponent is running Stone Edge, and to be honest, I am assuming they are. I don't know if they are, but I'm assuming they are. There's a Stone Edge. I can go ahead and just overfarm, go in for the Feather Dance. I think it's enough to KO. It's double super effective, right? Pidgeot does really well against Virizion. It is enough to KO, and that is going to be a good game, very well played to my opponent. So yeah, I'm going to be able to take that one. You'll love to see it. That's going to be a 4-1, obviously losing to that Pelipper, Galarian Stunfisk team, double flyers. But I do pick up in Onyx. Very nice. Excuse me. And that will be enough to barely get me to X, but you love to see it. We pick up some Palma pants. Yes, we get the pants for Palma. One more step, and then I am at Legend. One more goal for this season. You absolutely love to see it. Good games to my opponents up until this point, but we're not done, obviously, because I still have another set. And here we go, and this gets me close to 2800s. Very close to 2800s now. Going to be Cobalion into Dragonite. Okay, I mean, not the biggest fan of this lead, but again, it's okay. So I'm just going to stay in for now. And I do go ahead and throw. They actually catch. Well played. Nice timing by my opponent. They catch and Jellicent. So good play. But I could bring in my Pidgeot, so I am double resisting these Hex attacks. Obviously, I'm not resisting Surf, but just going to go ahead and take this. A little bit unfortunate for me that my opponent was able to catch, but that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and throw the Feather Dance immediately. I know they're not going to shield, but if I threw a Brave Bird, it's not going to be enough to KO. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw that. And my opponent is going to go ahead and throw this attack. It's just going to be another Surf, of course. I think I charge up max energy, or at least close to 2. Yeah, I don't throw yet. I know my opponent will get off another Surf, but that's totally fine. I'm just going to go ahead and let this go. And charge up, yeah, max energy, throw in this attack. If my opponent wants to shield, I can shield and get to another Brave Bird. But my opponent does not shield. You love to see it. So down goes the Jellicent. So I'm going to go ahead and switch. I switched trying to catch the attack, the Dragon Claw on my Cobalion, if my opponent was able to, or decided to throw it right away, but they didn't. So out comes this Cobalion. So I am down a shield, but this is not too bad because I'm going to be able to get off multiple Sacred Swords or possibly get a shield, right? If my opponent does not shield, they will be very low, and they actually do not shield. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let this go and bring my Jellicent to go for the farm down. That actually doesn't KO, so we both actually KO at the same time. I thought that did KO me at the time. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in the Pidgeot. Oh yeah, that's right. I bring in the Pidgeot because I knew I was close to another move. Remember, I charged up max energy, so I do get the Feather Dance off. I could have thrown a Brave Bird there and KO'd it immediately, but at the same time, if they shielded, that would have been worse for me. I'd rather go for the safe play and debuff it, right? Even though I did not expect them to shield it, I'd still rather go for the safe play. So I do have 2 Surfs ready to go. Just going to pick up both shields. My opponent is forever debuffed, forever double debuffed, right? You love to see it. So at this point, I'm like, you know what? I could just farm down. I don't even need to go for the Surf, right? Because my opponent does get off 2 more attacks, but I do survive them. So I don't even need to go for the Surf. And yeah, down goes the Dragonite. That is going to be a good game. Very well played to my opponent. So I'm going to be able to take that one. So Dragonite is an interesting lead for me. It's not great, but it's not the worst. This is really bad. This and Virizion are really tough leads, so I just save swap against the Deoxys lead into my Pidgeot. My opponent going to go ahead and throw an attack right. So I do let it go. It's going to be a Psycho Boost, as I knew it was going to be, and out comes Dull. Oh yeah, double. I remember this one. I do go ahead and throw the Feather Dance to debuff the opposing Double. So Double is debuffed, and my opponent does get off an attack. I'm like, well, you know what? I definitely live the Body Slam. The double debuff, I think I live the payback. I don't live the Wild Charge, but I wasn't thinking Wild Charge. I'm going to be honest with you. I was not thinking, because most double you see do not have Wild Charge, at least from my experience. But that is a cool moveset, good moveset from my opponent. Unfortunately, didn't pay out for me. Wild Charge coming in, I'm able to take that. I'm just going to go ahead and go for the Farm Down, and I do get the Farm Down, which is good. But the Deoxys is going to come in, and I'm not at a shield advantage or anything like that. Obstagoon in the back, so it's triple. Well, it's not triple counter because one of the uses is double kick, but triple fighting fast moves. You get it. You get it. So unfortunately, there's an Obstagoon in the back. If I had a shield advantage, this wouldn't be the worst in the world, but unfortunately, I do not. Surfs are doing neutral damage. I'm double resisting the counters, which is good, but I'm going to go ahead and go for this Surf attack. My opponent's just not going to shield a thing. My opponent will be able to get off this attack right now. I'm going to go ahead and shield it. It's going to be a Night Slash. I have to start shielding somewhere, right? So I do go ahead and throw. I'm wondering when my opponent's going to shield. It's not even going to be this one, I don't think. They do not even shield that. They don't have to. So that Deoxys is coming in. I'm going to go ahead and throw a Stone Edge. I was contemplating the bait because I thought they would shield, but they're still not shielding. I mean, they still don't have to shield technically. I'm just... At this point, I figured I lost this game, but I'm just curious when my opponent's going to shield. And I just want to at least get one shield from them. You know what I'm saying? At this point, I'm determined to at least get one shield from my opponent. So I do go ahead and throw the Sacred Sword. We get the shield at least. My opponent does farm me down. I'm like... Well, you know what? If they have Wild Charge on double, they probably don't have Thunderbolt. But lo and behold, they do have Thunderbolt. So yeah, definitely not gonna win this one. So I do just let the Jellicent go. Good game, nice team by my opponent. But at least I didn't get the 2 shield. My opponent didn't get the 2 shield flex, right? I'm just kidding. Good game, well played. A nice team, I like it too. Moving on, we have Cobalion into Obstagoon. I like it. So my opponent switches into that Swampert. I'm gonna go ahead and go into my Jellicent. And I do go ahead and go for the bait right now. Not sure if the bait's worth it just because my opponent doesn't shield. It's still worth it. I think it's still fine. I think the bait's still fine. Because I still win this matchup. Oh yeah, I remember. Oh yeah, this game. I remember this game. So I do take that Earthquake, but unfortunately my opponent has another attack. So I do shield this one because I thought this would get me so low. So shielding the Earthquake obviously would have been much better. So shielding the first attack, probably the way to go. But either way, I'm going to go ahead and throw the Surf, take Switch advantage, but I am down a shield. I would have been down a shield if I shielded the first one anyway, but at least I would have shielded the Earthquake, right, over the Hydro Cannon. But that's okay, you live, you learn. Trying to get to another one, and I do get to another Surf. I know it would be very difficult for my opponent to farm me down with counter, right? So I'm not expecting a full-out farm down. Maybe they're going for it. No, they do go ahead and throw an attack. So this is going to KO my Jellicent, totally fine. I do have that Cobalion, and of course my opponent did farm up extra energy. Good play, it makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and take this. I do survive a Cross Chop, easy. And my opponent maybe attempted to catch, but I have the Pidgeot for this Trevenant. Yeah, absolutely love to see it. I remember on stream I was saying hopefully they have a Trevenant in the back, and lo and behold, they do. So what I do is I take the attack, makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and I think I go for a Nice. Yeah, I do go for the Nice because it would take a while to farm down. I would get really low. And I want to make sure I come out with a Feather Dance so I can Feather Dance the Obstagoon, right? So I can forever debuff it. I love forever debuffing a Pokemon. That's why I love having Pidgeot in the back. So my opponent does throw another attack. They throw the Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball is double resisted, but it still does more damage than one C-Bomb. So it makes sense to go for the Shadow Ball. So now Obstagoon comes in. Just going to go ahead and forever debuff it for the remainder of the game. So Feather Dance is going to pick up the shield. I switch out right now. My opponent is going to go ahead and throw an attack. My opponent is double debuffed, so I'm going to go ahead and take it. It's a Night Slash. They were going for the boost. They were hoping I shielded, I guess, and going for the boost. I guess that was the only possible win condition. So I pick up the shield and I go for another one, and this is going to be enough to KO my opponent's Obstoon, and that is going to be a good game. Very well played to my opponent. Yeah, really good game. Well played, well played. Let's go ahead and move into the next battle. And here we go. So let's see what she's got for us. It's going to be Cobalion into Galvantula. So as I said earlier, you hate electric types on the back line. So because it's on the lead, it's pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and take this one. I'm not expecting the lunge, but I'm going to go ahead and take it anyway. It's a discharge. And my opponent switches out into Jellicent. I'm going to go ahead and bring in Pidgeot. I want to save that energy for Galvantula because, as I said, the backline does not like Galvantula at all. I mean, I guess if shielded down, it's not terrible because, I mean, a Brave Bird will KO from a Pidgeot. It's neutral. Shadow Ball will do a lot to a Jellicent, so I guess it's not terrible. But when shielded up, it's pretty bad. So this is how I always play. I always throw the first Feather Dance, and then I charge up almost close to 2. I take a couple more surfs, go almost close to 2 attacks. Almost close. You can't charge up for 2 Brave. In this situation, I'm throwing because my opponent didn't throw the attack, so I just want to KO it, but my opponent actually shielded it, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and shield this one up. Usually my opponents do not shield, but in this case my opponent does shield, but my opponent switches out into Galvantula, so I'm going to go ahead and immediately switch out into my Cobalion, throw in that Stone Edge. My opponent does shield. And you know what? I was actually so close to not shielding this, but I decided to shield it. It's a lunge. Nice bait by my opponent. So a little bit unfortunate there. It made sense to go for the lunge. I was so close to not shielding it. And Stone Edge is going to connect, and then I'm going to be able to count it down. Very nice. I am debuffed, but that's fine. So Mana Buzz is coming in. I'm going to go ahead and throw this Stone Edge right now into the Mana Buzz. And that will connect. You'll have to see it. And is my opponent farming me down? My opponent is farming me down. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Pidgeot. I wanted to get off that Brave Bird. Not quite. However, this is not going to KO me, so I'm still going to get it off. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the Brave Bird, and I think switch out into Jellicent right afterwards. I just want to get the damage onto it because Surf, like at this range, will KO. So my opponent is staying in. They attempt to catch the Surf, which is what I was anticipating, so I didn't throw right away. So when I see the switch, I throw the Shadow Ball. That will be enough to KO, and I'm going to be able to survive a couple of these attacks. So I'm not really worried about it. I do survive 2 foul plays just fine, and my opponent will concede there. And that is going to be a great game. Very well played to my opponent. Let's go ahead and move into the final battle of this video, Cobalion into Dragonite. Okay. Again, I've seen multiple Dragonite leads today, or in this video, so I'm going to go ahead and I do go for the bait. I'm going to go ahead and shield it again. It's going to be a Dragon Claw. And I do go ahead and bait. Sometimes I bait, sometimes I don't. I've been baiting in this video, and my opponent actually calls it. Oh, well played. Nice call. So I'm going to go ahead and bait again. If you don't succeed the first time, bait again, right? So my opponent does shield there. That's good. Out comes Jellicent. So many Dragonite in the lead with Jellicent in the back, right? That's what I've noticed. So a lot of Dragonites into Jellicent. It's a great team. It's a great team. But I've just seen a lot. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw the Feather Dance again. This is how I play it. Throw the Feather Dance right now. And that will connect. Obviously, my opponent's not going to shield that. And now my opponent is going to go ahead and go for a Surf. Totally fine. I'm just going to let it go with my Pidgeot. Waiting for my opponent to throw another attack. I do live it. And again, I'm going to charge up and throw one and see if I can get to another one. So I throw one. Maybe I can get to a Feather Dance against the Dragonite, which is what I'm assuming comes in, but I guess we'll see. I do KO that Jellicent. I don't know what's in the back. Dragonite's coming in. So I actually swap out and go for the bait. That bait I don't think was worth it, to be honest. Because I didn't think my opponent was going to shield. I actually call this, and it's actually a Dragon Claw. And my opponent actually catches the Sacred Sword on Registeel. You'll love to see it because I would easily go for Sacred Sword into Registeel, no problem. So it's going to be difficult for them to lock on me down. I'm going to go ahead and throw another one. I think I can get to one more. They do shield, makes sense, and I do get to another one. Maybe I'm looking to switch out after this, I'll see, but gonna go ahead and throw the Sacred Sword. You'll love to see it. Going into the Jellicent, I easily survive, plus I still have a shield. I'm gonna go ahead and shield this Zap Cannon, and it is a Zap Cannon, no problem. I do get debuffed, but at this point, Shadow Ball will KO. going to overfarm just slightly. I don't want them to possibly get to another one. I'm going to go ahead and throw this Shadow Ball. That will be enough to KO, and that is going to be a good game. Very well played to my opponent, and all of my opponents really well played. 2 back-to-back 4-1s. You love to see it. And yeah, as I said, another 4-1. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'll show you the score. I think it's 28-90 something. And yeah, so that will be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Again, I'll see you all in the next one. Have a good day. Bye.